Alright. So we're gonna mess around on the Pickaxe Master project here for a bit. So last time I was working on this, I was making like the force pick upable in the inventory system and how that's gonna happen. So we pick up logs. We can pick up logs and we can drop them back at the campfire with middle mouse. And I want to today work on like maybe like respawning a tree and stuff come like spawning out of the tree and then like the tree regrowing, I guess. And also the fire mechanic, because I was thinking I wanted to try to use health for the fire mechanic so you could like hurt the health. But I got to thinking about it, and like in 99 nights, as the fire levels up, you have to send a message or something at the end to upgrade the camp to level 2 and whatever. So I think the only way that I can do the fire is in the HUD. VVox, good to see ya. Yeah, my son loves 99 Nights in the Forest. I think we've gotten to like 35 or something. But yeah, it's super fun. And I talked to Bruno into trying it for our Pickaxe Master IP, basically. So hopefully I could make a version of it in the sandbox. But it's good to see you in chat. I appreciate you dropping into chat. We're going to have to set this spawner as the active spawner, because that's the only thing I have the ability to drop with. My computer's really lagging right now.
Fall is fast approaching. Shop end-of-season outdoor deals at Ashley during the Labor Day sale, where you'll find out.
So I'm trying to make it as close as I can to 99 nights, with like the bag space working the way it is and upgrading your bag space and having hunger. And perhaps like I was gonna use the health bar as like your shield. The Sandbox game is following. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I appreciate the follow. We're working on a 99 Nights version game for the Sandbox for Pickaxe Master, just to try something new for the next Builders Challenge. And so that we can try to use persistent variables and data storage and the leaderboard as best we can. And I thought this would be a cool idea to do it. So yeah, welcome. Today we're going to try to make the fire, and we're going to try to make trees respawn and drop logs. So it's going to be fun. But I picked up a couple logs, and you drop them out and then your bag empties. There's definitely some hiccups with it, but I do want to make a global cooldown for the buttons too, so you can't mash middle mouse too fast. So, and then for this, we are going to use experience and levels as the persistent variables. So as you do things in the game, you'll get experience and level up, and then like the level and your experience could be the leaderboard, perhaps. I'm not sure, but we'll get there. I know you'll make something awesome eventually when you're inspired to. So I gave people access to the middle mouse button. I'm going to give people access to the middle mouse button in this game to spawn things from your inventory. And right now you can mash it a little too fast. So I need to create a cooldown on this. Play game for fun. Aw, Sandbox with the raid. I appreciate that a ton. Thank you so much. The Yoke. What's up? That's pretty cool. Nasman, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome on in. So, how should we make a cooldown? What's the best way? Just, I could probably attach just like a player timed variable, maybe? Let's make a player. Let's say that this is, let's call it the global cooldown. Yeah, Sandbox raid, that's sick. I appreciate it. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm working on a project for the Pickaxe Master right now. And also earlier today, I was working on a fashion show that Roxy and I are going to make. So be on the lookout for Mr. Roxy Miguel putting out marketing material for people to make gear sets to participate in a head-to-head fashion show. The gold one is now following. Hey, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Welcome in, everybody. I stream as much as I can to just try to get Sandbox logic systems and the GameMaker together for the Pickaxe Master and myself and Impossible Dream Studio. So yeah, I appreciate the follow. I'll be right back. One moment. I'll be right back. I have to make a quick snack, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. The children have a snack. Well, the daughter has a snack. All right. So I'm going to put a global cooldown on the middle mouse button here, which that is what is taking things out of the inventory, and I don't want to be able to spawn it too fast. So we create global cooldown here. And on player join is giving us access to the middle mouse button, which is a rule that you'll find right here, or a trigger, and mouse input. So on player join, which is also a different event rule, we're given access to the middle mouse button. And so we're going to talk to a timer. Duration of um, a half a second, maybe? Let's call it the global cooldown message. And so I'm going to use that message instead over here on this bag space board I've made. So when I push middle mouse, right now there's 5 bag slots. You can see it right here. That I'm keeping track of 5 different bag slots. And every time I push this global cooldown, it's going to check it instead. Let's see if that works. It should, I think. The only trouble is maybe if I keep spamming it, the timer's just going to keep on going. I should have put the timer on the HUD so we can keep track of it. But let's see here. If I can keep spamming the timer, you'll think that the asset spawner will never work. Let's see. So yeah, I can keep interrupting the timer so the timer never finishes, but if I stop mashing, it'll... If I mash it, it makes the thing not work, which is kind of interesting.
Where's your playlist taking you? Down the highway? To the mountains?
I think that's pretty interesting fix. Mashing just doesn't work. Mashing just makes it so it doesn't work. It's kind of a simple fix. I'll just leave it like that for now because it's it might just be a band-aid, but we'll see. So what do you do once you can pick up the 5 logs? If you want to fill your bag with 5 logs, then you can bring them back to the fire. No, I haven't figured that out. That would be, I don't know, have to space everything out. I'm not sure. Or it could just change it to like, I did think about that. I just haven't implemented it yet. The thing that I was thinking of doing is just changing this to make them collision. and maybe that'll help um, just make it easier to make sure that there isn't overlapping. But even if you connect or collect multiple ones at the same time, I could see it like being too much. Now, like, you can just use your inventory too, but like, I want to create a ceiling so that you can't collect more than 5. So it's kind of tricky. But like, this system, if you collect 5 of them, so now I'm collecting them by touching them. If I try to collect more than 5, it spawns one. So essentially, it exchanges it back. Oh, I didn't change the preset yet. A future Fred problem? Exactly. That's how I operate. Fingers crossed, hope for the best. Probably, well, I think you have to have collision on for gravity to work. So that's the inventory. That's how you can't collect more. And I have it turned on so you can't see them in your inventory when you collect them. So if you go to miscellaneous, you'll see there's nothing there. Your bag space is controlled by the variable bag space. Now I want to be able to bring it back here, and you push your middle mouse button to drop things. And as you drop them by the fire, they should like feed the fire, burn up. Sound effect, fire gets bigger, burns for longer. And in 99 Nights in the Forest, it expands the wall back further and uncovers more places for you to explore. So I'm actually building this on a 3x3, which is ginormous, humongous. And because the Pickaxe Master has a 3x3 estate, so hopefully it all holds up. And the idea is to throw this in the 3x3 for the next Builder's Challenge. So I've got this trigger volume here that's already looking for the tag. You can see it also has the visual effect on it for the fire. It's not enabled at start. And so I need to build a rule system, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to use the HUD that feeds the fire with logs, and there's like a timer that takes it away, and it'll hopefully be a HUD that pops up when you're close enough to the fire to see it. Hopefully maybe I can use the top for that. I don't know where I'm going to put all the variables, but it would be cool to use the top variable for that, potentially. So these presets, these logs that are going to spawn out of trees, they have this tag on them, and this is what I'm going to use. Because we have a trigger volume here that's including log, and when it enters, it sends log. It's going to send it to, oops, this is not right. These are on local accidentally. Let's see if it'll hold on to it. Am I on? Design behavior. Great. All right, cool. So we're gonna send that message to the rules. You'd think the fire is going to be to turn on. I'm not sure, but we'll guess that it's going to be fire on. And we'll say fire off. Man, there's a lot of commercials on this video. Okay. Let's hop up into the rules and create a new board for fire. Let's call it fire. I'll just fire. So what is fire? Fire is going to be like a variable. It's going to be a global variable. We'll call it the fire fuel. Fire the fire life or something. Fire health. It might even be easier to understand in the context of GameMaker. Fire health. And it starts at 0. We're going to have another global integer called fire level. And then we'll have one more where it's fire ceiling. Ceiling being the amount of health you need to get it to the next level. And we'll say that the first ceiling is at 100. So potentially there's a continuous math, or we could do like a message broadcaster that hits the rules. That's constantly taking health away from the fire. But first, we need to add fuel to the fire, I think. So you could easily do it with like a message argument. I don't think I put a message argument on it, so, but I'll just do some quick math with collect log. Well, actually, that's not where the message is coming from, is it? The message is actually coming from here, enter message log. What if it was like... This could be where you do... Well, you have to do math anyway. So log. Another trouble of dropping stuff in the fire is it might burn more than it's supposed to. Hmm. I'll have to like have a message broadcaster in here that's trying to burn the logs. Alright. Let's just use this log message though. So if we get log, then we're gonna say we're gonna grab the fire health and let's add, I have no idea, 20 for a log, maybe? And that's what the fire health is. And we'll say fire.check. So anytime we add fuel to the fire, I'm going to want to check to see if it's got to the ceiling or gotten over the ceiling. So we're going to compare with fire check or fire compare. And we're going to check the fire health. Is it greater than or equal to our fire ceiling? And if it is, then we're going to like do something like fire.level, I guess. And so what is fire.level gonna, or yeah, fire.level gonna do? It's gonna for sure add 1 to fire level. And that's the new fire level. And then it'll be like fire.level.check. Because then we'll need to check to see what level we're on. So I'll just duplicate this one. Level.check. And so we'll say if fire level is equal to a fixed number of 1, then we will say the message fire dot level dot 1. I think they call it camp in 99 Nights in the Forest, but I'm going to call it fire level 1. And then fire level 1 is going to go out and do whatever fire level 1 is, but this is just the base part of the system, thinking through it. So when we add fuel, we always want to start. Do we just always want to be doing this is the question. Do we just always want to be doing this? For now, I'm just going to turn this on so it just always stays on. But potentially you could turn it off to save some resources if the fire doesn't have any fuel in it. But that won't be very often in the grand scheme of things. So you need to create a variable for a continuous math to work. So let's create a timed variable that's global. We'll call it time math.0. So this is where how much fuel you take away from the fire, how often you'll do it. So let's say every 5 seconds for now. We'll be looking at the fire health. And we're going to subtract 5 from it. And the minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is... I have no idea. But I will put 1,000,000 for now. And nothing is going to stop the rule. It's just going to happen forever. But something does have to be continuously checking this fire health. So there's this setting called compare duration, and constantly be checking something, but it does turn off once the rule goes off. So we're gonna have to turn it back on. We're gonna have to turn it back on after it gets turned off. So let's say the first one gets turned on with... I'm just not sure. Should probably be checking the fire if it's greater than 0. If it's turned on. Or I could have like a switch potentially. I could use a switch on the map to flip the constant comparison. I might ponder this one a little bit. Potentially I could use a timed variable. It's basically the same thing, same thing though, where we're like checking for 0. It's usually easier in my experiences. It's usually a lot easier to just turn timed variables into numbers, like integers, because they work better for most things, and just use time variables for like logic reasons, like the global cooldown, or you want to wait a minute for something. But for this, I want it to be a fire that gets fueled up and can go back down, and like it can be at like 5 health, and then you can fuel it up, and if it gets to 0, it needs to turn off. And what happens when it turns off? Then there's no protection, and like wild animals will come into your camp, and there's like an enemy that roams around at nighttime, and he'll come into your camp if there isn't fire. So originally I wanted to use a health bar and like try to make a health bar work, but I can't think of a way that I would be able to send a message when the health bar gets full. So now I'm gonna make sure to try to do it in the rules and use a HUD display. But if this doesn't work out, I could definitely try to use a timed variable instead. I just haven't thought through quite the right process here yet. It's probably not having continuous math at all times. It's probably just having things that happen. So let's think about this. If when we're adding things to the fire that give it fuel, we send out fire check. Fire check gonna check if it's greater or equal to the fire ceiling. It's going to also check more things. Let's see if it's less than or equal to a fixed value of 0. It's less than or equal to a fixed value of 0. So potentially this is, I made a message fire off, right? This might be a little redundant and I don't want the game to crash, but if it's greater than 0, it's going to be fire on. So now we have some continuous math. And when we get fire on, we're going to grab time math 0. And every 5 seconds, we're going to take 5 away from fire health, minimum of 0, and maximum of 1,000,000. Message to stop this rule: fire off. Now we also have a well, we do still need a continuous comparison because the fire can go out as this continuous math is going. So we're going to compare continuously when we hear fire on. So when we hear fire on, this is going to turn on. It's going to check the fire health, and when it's less than or equal to 0, it's going to say fire off. Okay. I think that's pretty good, hopefully. So, the HUD. Okay, so days survived is up there in 99 nights. Maybe we can just always see the fire for now. It's going to be a progress bar on the fire. So we're going to be looking at the fire health. And for the bar, the minimum is 0, but the maximum is going to be this variable, the fire ceiling that we made. Call this the fire. Or I'll call it camp here, I guess. Campfire. Is this gonna work? No, not quite yet. Because I need to talk to the visual effects here. Fire on, fire off. Maybe it will. Oh, then, and then I want to try to burn these logs up when I put them down, so they don't have a plant on them anymore. Let's say that this is log.burn. How about that? That's good. Log.burn. And we'll save over the preset. Actually, it doesn't matter if I replace those because I'm spawning the preset. Interesting. Also, this light, its starting state's going to be off. Turns on with fire.on. Turns off with fire.off. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, duh, I forgot to make the burn log again. Like an idiot. Weird. Oh, it is going down. That's good. Okay, so let's grab ourselves a logic asset. And so this is going to be a message broadcaster. It's going to talk to, about this range. Wait before broadcast. Message to send. Log.burn. Message required. Log.check. Fire.check. That should work okay. So every time we give fire.check, it'll try to burn a log. And just try to talk to log. And try to collect them again. So I'll get credit. It's not working though. Let's see, one at a time. I missed it. There we go, yeah. We'll have to figure out how we can't do that. maybe once you spawn them, they aren't collectible again, but I don't like that idea at all. We're moving in the right direction, though. So, how do we get logs? We have to punch trees. So, I want to build these systems to be built out of like actor property switchers. So, you're not spawning like new trees, but it's just its own system, I think, maybe. So I think I can make it so people could like punch a health, and then there's an actor property that changes that health to a friendly. Otherwise, I have to create a completely random spawning system, which I think I have some ideas for that too. It's like put a platform on a rotate and then have a bunch of asset spawners on that platform, so as it rotates around, it's just kind of like spawning things randomly. So perhaps we can do something like that, but I would like to just make the trees actor property switcher systems because games seem to hold up better when you go that route. You want like everything that's going to be on the map to already be there. And like the less stuff you spawn as presets all over the place all the time, potentially it'll hold up better. So hopefully someday we don't need to worry about any of it and GameMaker just works amazing. So let's just say that this would then be tree.0. Hopefully I don't have to make a bunch of different. I mean, every tree will have to have its own system, so if there's like 100 trees, then I'll have to make 100 systems probably.
A real Etsy buyer review for handmade home decor by a real Etsy seller. They are truly beautiful to look at and absolutely
Truly beautiful.
discover pieces created and loved by real people.
Mhm.
Shop the Etsy app.
So let's say that tree 0 here has a logic asset with it. And this logic asset has health, which is synced. So we could say that on the death event that we want to just reset it. It's instant death message. It's not existent right now. The life bar display is hidden. Message sent on death would be since we use tree.0 for the tag, let's say tree dot death makes sense. Broadcast to everyone in range, so we'll just make sure trees aren't close enough to hear each other's death events potentially. So let's say that this is just like a 5. So what does a tree death mean? Let's also say that this is tree.0 tag. Maybe that'll make it easier. How about this? We'll say like tree.0.logic, tree.0.health. I don't know how specific we're gonna have to get with these, but tree death will spawn 2 to 3 logs. Probably just always say 3 logs. So that's a really easy thing that we can do. Let's just use another logic donut. So this is going to be an asset spawner that's waiting for tree death. And when it does, it's going to spawn a preset that we have yet to make. So if we go into presets and we grab this log, so there's gravity and collisions on this. I just want them to like kind of push away from each other a little bit. So it'll be like duplicate. Just put them like into each other a little bit. This. And we'll save this as a preset. Call it drop log. Set. Drop log. Only once false. So this is tree.0.health. This would be tree.0 asset spawner. Supple tree.0. And so we're going to need some actor property switchers. So when we hear tree death, first of all, I want to make sure that I take collisions, invisibility, invisible UI, sure, all off of specific tags within range. This was tree.0. And so this one will say is going to be looking for, what did I say this was? Tree.0.health. Tree.0.health. And this one we're going to add a tag to it. Friendly. And then there'll be some sort of RNG that respawns this tree. And it's going to be a message that's like tree.0.on. And tree.0.on is also going to make the tree visible. So give collisions back, give visibility back. And this other one is going to remove the friendly tag from the health again. Okay, so let's give ourselves the ability. How about I just use a lamp? And I'll make it a button. And we'll say that this is tree.0.on, so we can go back and test it. Let's see if this system works for us. Whoops. I always do that because I'm so used to not being able to do that till it's done saving. So that was pretty cool. Can't punch it anymore. And go ahead and collect them. And then I push this button and it's back. And I can punch it again. And it dies. I can still punch it now. Interesting, 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 interesting. Potentially we could just drop, like make the asset spawner drop it up so high that there's no possibility of you collecting it if you spawn it by somewhere that can get burnt up. Cool. So what do I do here? Tree death, add friendly. Does it lose its tag when it resets? Does it reset when it loses its... Does it lose its tag when it resets? Tree.0.on. Remove friendly. When it dies. Tree death. Add friendly. Let me try this again. Okay, cool. Like it a lot. Okay. So yeah, it is still punchable. Huh. Resetting must get rid of the tag. Maybe. You could always just spawn a preset health when it goes, but I want to try not to do that. That kind of sucks. That sucks. I thought I had it set at 50 health. Let's keep an eye on the life bar display. Hmm. How can I make this have friendly on afterwards without spawning a health? These are the questions of the Starship Enterprise. I go friendly though. Let's say this is friendly. Is that not working anymore? I could have swore I was just using this. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. Shoot. Shoot. Well, we made some good progress today. Got the fire started working. Made a little bit of a global cooldown band-aid. See if I can figure out this friendly tag at some point here. Well, but yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for the raid, Sandbox. Thanks for everybody hanging out, the lurkers. It's good to see everybody. VVox, Nasman, the OK, play game for fun. I appreciate you a ton. We'll keep moving forward a little bit at a time here, and hopefully have some pretty cool projects here the next month or so that you guys can be checking out. So, and I can't wait to see what you all build on the other side as well. Thanks, Nasman. Thanks, VVox. Talk to you later. Reach out if you want to talk about anything.